Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ella, and for today I have another altar reviewing video for you. Now, I started this series last week and I had a couple of really cool submissions, so thank you so much for submitting. If you also want to submit your altar for review, you're welcome to either by email or by Instagram DM. Let me know if you want to be anonymous or not, that is important. But I had a really good response out of last week's video, so I'm really excited to continue this series. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So I have the photos on my phone. I'll be showing them here, I suppose. I hope you can see them properly, but the first one we have is Esther. So thank you very much, Esther, for submitting your altar photo. So straight away I can see you have a really beautiful, I love that dark wood, altar space, and I also see my book. Thank you. I always love seeing when people like have my book on their shelves or in their spaces. It always makes me so giddy. But I can see loads of crystals, which, you know, is no surprise. I love that. I definitely feel like there's a couple of crystals that I recognize. Now, let's have a look at your altar space in a complete sort of sense. I feel like this is a really nice way of doing an altar in that kind of cabinet that you're able to tuck away, because it allows for like a lot of privacy and things like that. I see a couple of tarot decks and like oracle decks, and I see that you have also included in your message that you've got this box down there where you like to have your altar decks in as well, so you don't have them all like out essentially. You've got some beautiful artwork by the same artist that I also have some artwork by the way. Yeah, loads of crystals. We've got that one plant over there that is some sort of cacti or aloe vera. Is that aloe vera? And an owl over there, cute little picture in the center that seems to maybe potentially be an ancestor picture. That is my guess, at least. Couple of incense tools. I am very curious about that white doll. Like, I'm just zoomed into it right there. That looks like a little puppet maybe of some kind, or maybe something that is very of significance to you. But yeah, I love this. This is a very earthy altar. I feel like that is, and even your tarot deck that you've got down there, the thorn, ash, and oak, ash, and thorn. Ash, oak, and thorn. I have the same tarot deck. I keep forgetting the actual name. It's beautiful. It's very earthy. It's very like folklore. I feel like your altar probably, or your practice probably, is very like earthy based. You've got the crystals, you've got, you know, the plant, you've got the oak, ash, and thorn tarot going on here. So my assumption for you is probably very earth-based, probably more in the pagan direction. Really beautiful. I really enjoy your setup where you've definitely got, you know, your sections of like, you've got your books down there, probably like a grimoire. You've got your dedicated space for your altar, for your tarot and your oracle decks. I personally probably Carlos, he edits my videos. He's going to make a compilation, I already know it. I feel like you could add something on the walls, like maybe some shelves or some pictures, like a gallery wall. I'm laughing because I have that in my mind where Carlos like pointed out every single time in my last video. But yeah, I think a gallery wall would look really cute. And so, for example, the pictures that you have on the left, like that one illustration with the reindeer, not the reindeer, with the deer, that would be beautiful if you framed it and have it on your wall, for example. So that's probably what I would suggest for you, is just to have something on the walls as well if you wanted to. It doesn't even have to be specifically witchcraft related, in case you do want it to be a little bit more private. But I think having a gallery wall probably is something that, you know, would fit your aesthetic really well too. Even maybe some shelves where you could have some of the crystals displayed. I think that would suit your space really well. So thank you, Esther, for your submission. Let's hop into the next altar. So the next one is by Velvet Rose Blackwood. And this submission here is with a message. Note, I'm struggling because I am disabled and upkeep for my altar is a lot, so I'd love tips on how to simplify it. So thank you so much for submitting this altar space. It's beautiful. We've got very similar themes as the one from Esther. I love this. So you've got a lot of colors going on. I love that straight away. We've got the plant right on the center. We've got some artwork in the back here. It's right by a window. We've got a massive pine cone. Wow. And we've got some beautiful crystals. Now you've got a crystal collection, wow. We've got a tarot deck over here and a couple ones over there on the side too. I feel like this is a beautiful, honestly looks like a beautiful space. Now I will say, I think for you, considering that you said that you are disabled and you want to make sure that, you know, you are struggling with the upkeep, I think personally, what I would probably suggest is having the crystals not all in this one space, because I feel like that is going to take a lot of like de-dusting. Like I get that. I'm the same way. I have like so many crystals, and de-dusting them all and like picking them all up and stuff does take a lot of effort. So I think, you know, if that is something that you're able to do, for example, either keep some of the crystals tucked away and only display the very, very favorite ones that you're most likely to work with. You can have them in like a box or something, or you can have them around some other spaces. That would probably help you a little bit with simplifying it. And I would probably say the same with you've got 3 tarot decks on your altar. I'm assuming these already are your favorites. I would probably suggest to have these, if this is a table type of altar, have them in a box too, that you're then able to like take out and keep them in a box. So that way you have like maybe only 1 tarot deck on your altar, or keep none of them on your altar and have all 3 in your dedicated box. And then when you need them, take them out and work with them. Other than that, I feel like this is already a really wonderful space. You have a load of bracelets going on there too. Maybe even some prayer beads potentially. I think once again, this could definitely be something that you are able to put in a little box or anything like that. Just because I feel like I do this too. I tend to want to have everything on display on my altar, and then I'm like, okay, I really don't need all of this on display, you know, like my shelves, for example, are half empty. So make use of that, make use of like extra space if you have any, and put things away, put things in storage, and then you're able to like kind of, you know, like out of sight, out of mind. Does that make sense? So that's kind of my suggestion for you there. I know a lot of times we get like a little bit of like FOMO, like a little bit of like fear of missing out when we see like big lavish altars, but I genuinely feel like there's so much beauty and like simplicity, and it doesn't mean that just because it is simplicity that it is simple in the term of like, oh, you know, like not as much, I don't know, like I don't even know how to phrase this, but it doesn't mean that it's like less worth, right? Like I feel like sometimes if you have a look at like the most stunning altars, even in a religious context, a lot of times they're very simple, they're very minimalistic, because they are very dedicated items. So I guess that's kind of my tip for you. The only other tip I have is I would not keep the quartz crystals. So I see you have like rose quartz crystals standing over there, and also potentially what looks like either citrine or some kind of yellow quartz. Be sure to keep that away from the window, just because the sun, the UV rays, actually wash out your crystals that are specifically quartz. So rose quartz, amethyst, citrine, smoky quartz, those type of crystals get washed out by the sun. So I would suggest for those to be not so close to the window. But that's, you know, just that general type tip. But yeah, thank you so much for submitting. It is a beautiful altar space. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this one here is by Happy Hedgewitch, and this one is a beautiful space as well. So we have a altar space that is actually more minimalist, and I really love that. I feel like this definitely shows you very dedicated items, and I really think that is wonderful. We've got some cauldron on the left, we've got a little smoke incense burner, some candles, some very dedicated crystals, the pentacle here in the center, some more candles on the right side, and a little money bowl, it seems like, as well as your tarot deck. Now, also I have the same tarot deck, I love it. So I think you are probably a little bit more traditional. I feel like your altar space is very, yeah, I feel like you're very, you know, you've got a very clean surface. You've got your tarot deck that seems to be having a dedicated little pouch for it. So I guess divination is something that you focus on. And I really think your altar is really lovely and really beautiful. I probably wouldn't even have any tips for you. I mean, a gallery wall obviously would be beautiful. I see you have it against a wall. I don't see any gallery wall in there. No, but in all seriousness, it's a really nice display, and I think this is an excellent example of having very dedicated space that is wonderful. And you've got a working area, you've got space to do your tarot readings, you've got space to, you know, do your workings, and this seems very well thought through and very intentional. And I think that is a great thing with altars or sacred spaces in general, is they don't have to be bold, they don't have to be lavish, they don't have to be tiny or, you know, very minimalist either if it doesn't make sense to you. It has to make sense to you. They have to be thoughtful, they have to be intentional. And if your intention is for them to be smaller and more minimalist, then that is excellent. It has to make sense to you. It doesn't really make sense to just have it for the sake of, you know, because you think that is what is expected. Like if you think it's expected of you to have a huge altar or vice versa, a small altar, but it doesn't inherently make sense to you, you know, what's the point then? Does that make sense? I feel like, you know, hopefully I'm making sense here. But yeah, I love this. This is a great example of like, this seems very intentional and I appreciate that. So thank you for submitting this altar space. I guess one other tip that I would personally maybe would take into consideration would probably just be a gallery wall maybe. If you wanted to at all, like you didn't need to do that at all. I think this is already a really beautiful space. But yeah, moving on to the next one. So the next altar is submitted. They would like to stay anonymous. And so let's have a look at the altar space. So this one, we I already can tell, I feel like we've got, you know, that sigil in the center of the wall that really stands out. I'm guessing either more chaos magic or traditional magic. To be honest with you, this is something that I'm not that familiar with. So this is something that I'm guessing at just from seeing it in, for example, other books or from other creators. I'm assuming this is what it is. But honestly, this is kind of out of my, like, what's it called? I don't know what this actually is. It's what I'm trying to say. Above my pay grade, I guess. But we've got so many cool things going on here. Okay, so straight away, I can see we've got up there we have, that seems to be a familiar spirit or plant spirit, garland, how do you say that? We've got some interesting tokens up here, your own, it seems DIY, which I love doing DIY, and we seem to have a couple of different elements going on here on the bottom as well. That looks like it could be like some type of spirit water, moon water over there on the left. With some, again, things that you seem to find out in nature, like the seashells. You've got some crystals going on here too. We've got that shelf, which by the way, I love that little shelf in the center with some more crystals. Some ointments of some kind perhaps, some books or journals. Then to the right we have another little jar with some symbols or sigils on there. And then some more crystals. And a bell, which again looks like you kind of created yourself. I love that. We've got some pearls up there. I wonder if they have a special meaning for you. And some more, that almost looks like it could be that on the top right there with these swirls on it. That could be some kind of, I'm not sure what that might be, but I feel like you craft a lot yourself and I love that. So I'm kind of tempted to also say you work within the realm of like folk magic a little bit. You definitely seem to be very close to your natural environment, which I think is wonderful. Like your local spirits seem to be included in here. We've got another sigil on the very top, which I just saw. I feel like this is very, again, intentional. Like, I feel like you know what you're doing. I think you already know very, very well the things that you wanted in the space. They have very specific meanings. I feel like you are very in tune with your natural environment, and I think that is wonderful. You've got candles hanging on the right, so I feel like you're a crafter too. I feel like you're very creative, and that goes into your craft as well. You've got some artwork going on here essentially, so you know, like artwork in terms of like sigil work and the things that you've crafted yourself, which I think kind of already shows that you probably already have some level of understanding of how to do your own things without necessarily it being like by the book, let's say. So that is kind of what I'm getting from your altar. Now, in terms of any kind of thing that I would potentially suggest, I honestly don't take this the wrong way at all. I think there's some, I'm nitpicking. I'm so nitpicking right now. But I guess something that, you know, if you wanted to, and if you have like the mind for it, probably just minor things to clean it up essentially would just be like, I'm just gonna show this on the phone. Just things on the wall, like that little like smudge there that you could probably, you know, that's literally like, I'm being so nitpicky right now, have that painted over. That's the most random thing. But honestly, I feel like this is already really wonderful. I feel like, again, this is such a good example of like very dedicated, very intentional. You know exactly what you need on here. Very traditional type of practice for sure, I think, as well. I really don't have any kind of adjustments that I would necessarily make. You seem to know exactly what you're doing. I think maybe something that would potentially be interesting for you is getting a small picture frame that you're able to hang up on that wall there, where you're able to exchange the picture, or the sigil in this case, every once in a while. So that could potentially, it's just an aesthetic suggestion, you know, that could potentially look nice as well. Because right now you have that with one of those, what is it called? Like a thumbnail? If you wanted to do the aesthetic thing, you could have like a picture frame that you're able to hang up there. The same for the other one. But honestly, other than that, I really, really think it's a beautiful altar space or sacred space. Yeah, so thank you so much for sending this. I feel like this one is a really, really, really nice example of like, you know what you're doing, you know what's up. So I think that's already it for this video. Once again, if you wanna submit your altars or your sacred spaces, let me know by just sending them. And also, I did receive a comment that I thought was kind of a cool idea, which was like roasting your altars. Now, I'm not sure if everyone is up for that, because I feel like that's already like, you know, spicy, let's say. However, if you wanted to submit your altar specifically for me to roast them, please, if you wanted to, send them and then clearly let me know you want me to roast your altar. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, like perhaps I'll like look at your altar and be like, this is beautiful. I have anything negative to say, or not even negative, but like, you know, be like, oh, you need a, I don't know, come up with something, right? But yeah, let me know if that is something that you would be interested in, if it's just, you know, for kind of entertainment purposes, obviously, lighthearted, of course. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on any of these altar spaces, or perhaps you have any tips for any of the altars I showed today. Let them, you know, write them down in the comment section below. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and may you walk with your gods. Bye!